Well, folks, we don't get to see many of these. It belongs to a ham radio friend of mine, Steve, and he's somebody who got into ham radio through Citizens Band Radio, and he does have a small collection of CB radios for a bit of a nostalgia trip, I think. So, what we got here, we've got a Binatone Breaker Phone in its box. So, we will open it up. And to be honest, they seem to work reasonably well. Squelch is a bit of a letdown. The trouble is, you couldn't really be seen with one in your car these days, would you? Everybody would think you're talking on your mobile phone. Now, of course, we don't know. There's a nice note on here. No receive or TX mod (audio IC 1986. Wow. Perhaps it's not worked since 1986. Now we do have a full service manual for these. So, if you've not seen these before, it's a telephone handset looking thing, and push to talks there, and it has a multi-core cable, which is a rather nice multi-way connector. They did do an extension lead for these at the time, and everything except high-low power is on there. There's no speaker inside the main unit. You can plug an external speaker into the main unit. You can plug a public address speaker into the main unit, and you can switch between the internal tiny little half-inch speaker and the external speaker here with the internal external, and you can switch selective to PA. So we will connect this up and wonder if it's got that fault which is on the list of on the lid, or whether it's been fixed years ago and it now works. So we're going to find out. So connected our crocodile clip, we'll connect the umbilical cord. I'll even go to the trouble of connecting the test set. Right, time to switch on. Well, it does indeed light up. Internal speaker, let's turn the squelch down, volume up, squelch down, and there's no audio. So it may be, just like it says, dated May 1986, that it is under fault condition. Now I can't remember which one is PA and which one is extension speaker. When you put this into PA, it says PA in now. Then it's sat there making a noise. It was doing till I shorted my crocodile clip leads out. Oh, well, it's no audio problem, is it? Testing 1 2, testing 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. So it's working on PA. So that's a good start. So we'll go back to CB. So we obviously now know that the red one is extension speaker. Okay, so it's working there, and it's working on its internal speaker. Okay. Let's see where it is on receive. I haven't set the signal generator yet, so it's picking up wherever it was last left. So obviously they had it fixed in 1986. So there we are, 2779125 on the signal generator. That's S9. That's 0.3 of a microvolt, so it's receiving quite well. And let's look at transmit. Is it transmitting? It is transmitting. Let's see what power it's doing. Well, it's doing more than 3 watts. It's doing about 3.2. And in low power, it should be 0.4 of a watt, and it's 0.35. I can't remember whether that's adjustable or not. So, we're going to go through this with the service manual, and we're going to optimize it. Let's see whether it's on frequency. It should be 27.79125. 79075, which is a little bit out of spec. Okay. So, nearly everything's in the other side, but because we're probably going to have to work on the transmitter, we may need to take that side off as well. I'm just going to switch the power supply off for a moment, because although I enjoy shorting my crocodile clips out, I don't need to have to do that every time. And I've just got my power cable round the umbilical cord. Okay. I know what's going to happen, don't you? I'm taking the wrong side off, aren't I? On one side you've just got the 4-watt amplifier for the transmitter, and on the other side you've got the rest of the works. Yeah, I've opened the transmitter amplifier side. Well, okay, we'll leave that off, and we'll just turn it back over and open the rest of its side. It's a unique product, this electronics isn't used in any other product, and the cheapest I ever saw these at the time was $109.99, and the most I ever saw them at the time was $129.99. Though I do think they got, they would have got cleared for like $59.99 when retailers got fed up with doing CB and realising you couldn't actually sell CB sets like you could anything else, because they need to be engineered. So it's nicely laid out, it's cleanly laid out, and one of the special things is it uses serial data between the handset and the main unit to do the channel selection. Now in the Realistic 2003 you have the which is another remote set like this, but without a handset. It's just an oversized mic. You've got the LED display, and you've got a rotary channel selector on that mic, and it's quite conventional in the way it works. It's a standard rotary switch, and it sends the BCD, the binary coded decimal information down 8 wires or something. So 8 wires of the multi-core cable in that are the channel information, but on this you've only got 1, and it does this through a Sanyo chipset, which is a clever chipset. So it has the 7137, which is the synthesizer phase lock loop chip. Then it has the LC7181, which is a scan generator and serial data chip. And then in the handset you've got another serial data chip, which is LC7191. So you've got LC7181 and LC7191, and this does the serial data, and it's that produces that rather nifty PA in the window as well. And it was just a really neat way to do it with a whole chipset from Sanyo. So another Sanyo device is this audio IC, which presumably has been changed. It's got 3 relays, and when these came out I thought, well, these are going to be troublesome with the relays. But that's not been the case, and even sets today have unfortunately got relays in them still. So other than that, you've got the standard Motorola MC3357 FM receiver subsystem chip, but they are very reliable. So there we go. Pause the video and find the service manual. I spent a lot of money in 1981, 82, 83 on service manuals. Average price 16 quid, and I spent hundreds and hundreds. but it stood me in good stead, apart from a printer spilling its ink on this particular one. But it's here, it's scanned, and 3.8 watts is what you expect. It's what it says. And you're expecting 0.5 microvolts for 10 decibels cyanide. So how to set the VCO is in here. I don't need to cover that because this set hasn't come in with any dodginess reported. It's not like somebody's turned it into something else, which is unfortunately what you get. Oops, that was the wrong camera. I want that one. That's better. So the first thing we can do is to put it on frequency with trimmer capacitor CT1. So I could have put that back on the frequency counter and not wasted my fingers, which have played 2 church organs today. So it's quite a high quality trimmer capacitor there, and that's the one which we're going to adjust. So switch on, select channel 20. Now every time you switch on, it does this pain in the what's it of going back to channel 1. So 27.79125 is what's required. There we go, it's gone on frequency. So that's good news. Right, we'll see whether we can get a bit more out of this transmitter. So it's transformers 4, 5, 6, 7 and L2. So let's have a look where they are. So it's 4 and 5, 4, 5, and then it probably goes on to the other board. Yeah, 6, 7 and L2. Oh look, got a price on the back. Oh, we'll just wait for the soldering iron to come on. So once I've done this, we'll put that lid back on, and then the screening of this section's assured. So 2SC2078 output transistor for everybody's information. Nope, we're not going to get any more there. Use the other trimmer for that. No, that's it. So it's going to be, when it's cold, it's going to be 3.2 watts. Now, just let's see what voltage this thing goes up to. Because it may be that when a car's charging, like mine does at 14.4 volts, it does something. 15.6 is your absolute maximum. So what we're going to do, I'll go into transmit, and we'll turn the power supply up to 14.4. And the radio's doing 3.5 watts at that point. And we'll just take it to the absolute maximum of, I'm going to go to 15.3. The radio then does 3.6 watts. But remember, this is on a commercial test set. If I put the Zetagi power meter on this, you'll find that the 3 watts is a lot more than that. In fact, I'll do that right now. So we're back to 13.8 volts. What am I doing? I've gone and unplugged the patch lead. Let's see what this says. Oh, it says 5 watts. So the 3.2 watts are 5 Zetagi watts, which is what you expect. I said before, our commercial test set does some filtering, and so it powers often look less than they would on another type of meter. Right, so I'll put the lid on this. I'll just pause the video. Right, so we've put it on frequency, we've optimised the power, which has gone up all of 0.2 of a watt, and let's see where we are with the deviation. 1, 2, wallow. Let's make sure the mic gains up, just in case it wasn't, because that's how you're going to adjust the volume on the public address. 1, 2, that actually looks spot on. Slightly over the top. One, two, wallow. That's it. So that's now 2.2, absolute maximum of 2.5 kilohertz, and it's VR1, which I think is the only variable resistor that I can spot. This could be why the Squelch is not the best performer, because it doesn't have a preset. Right, we're done on transmit. Let's look at what we can do with the receive. So transformer 3 is our detector. Just for those of you who want to know, the audio IC is a Sanyo LA4201. T3. T3. So it's that one there on its own. So we're going to put 100 microvolts signal, so it's an S9 equivalent. We'll switch on the oscilloscope, turn off the bench. I'm going to just see if we've actually got picture-in-picture on. We haven't. Right. Here we go. Let's put the camera on there. switch to external. We've got a dirty volume control. Okay, so we'll just peak transformer 6. Very minutely out there. Now we'll drop the signal and put the cyanide meter on instead. So we want the lowest signal we can work with, which is about there at 4 dB. So what we got? Transformer 1, transformer 2. Oh, is that all we've got? It's a bit of a simplistic receiver. Yep. Transformer 1, transformer 2. That's brought it up incredibly well. Just check that's not higher. Nope. I think they were a bit bleed over at the time when everybody in the dog had a CB with this simplistic design of receive. But we certainly brought the sensitivity up, and let's have a look at what we've actually got. We're actually achieving 0.5 microvolts for 12 dB cyanide. Well, the manual says 0.5 for 10 decibel cyanide, and for 10 decibel cyanide we've got 0.42. So that exceeds the specification, which is great. Now this is where we're let down with the squelch. So it isn't. There's no preset for the squelch. You get what you're given. Right. So yeah, and it's come in at 0.3 of a microvolt at full squelch. You know, it's well, I can't. 0.4 microvolt is full squelch, so nothing like the 100 microvolts I would like. So it's a very weak squelch on these. So if you're in any high usage area, it's going to sit there hissing all day. And it was always the letdown. I think when we did our panel of tests, it was given 2 out of 10 for the squelch performance, and I think it could be along with the Murphy DS602, which was probably about 3 out of 10. Atrocious squelch. So there we go, we are tuned up, it is working, but there's something, I need to do something about this volume control, because the slightest thing and it goes off. I just hope that going off isn't anything wrong with the cable, because there's absolutely nothing we'd be able to do for the customer in that case. So I'm going to put the lid on this, and then nothing's going to happen to it inadvertently, like dropping a spanner in the works. There is a screw missing. One of the screws I took out was a wrong type. They are supposed to be M3 machine screws, and somebody put a self-tapper in. So we're not going to put that back. But we do have M3 bright screws in stock. So next we'll turn off the power and we'll open up that handset, which is very fiddly. It's one of these tune up the sets in 15 minutes and then spend hours on the handset. So what can happen is they can actually come physically loose, and that is slightly probable in this case. But what we're going to have to do to get to that, to put some service hull in, we're actually going to have to take that out. And then when we're done, we've got to try and cram all the wires back in. So it was silly of me just tightening that up. So we need to undo the volume preset from the board. And we've got to hope that that bit of intermittency is the volume control, because it usually is, and not a fault on that multi-core cable. So now we can take that, twist it round, and actually take, have I got a precision enough screwdriver to do that? We need to take the cover off if we manage not to break it. And then get some surface hull which is not on my bend. So I'll pause the video while I go and raid one off Mr. Chippy's. Right, so I've sprayed some in there. Always check that these are tight onto the little wheels are tight on those screws, because there's a tendency, every time I seem to come up to one of these, every single one of the knobs is loose, and this is not the case, so that's unusual. Right, that's the cover back on. I don't think these have a marker, so I think they can, it doesn't matter how they go back on. So I've got that in the slot. I did have it in the slot. Now for the fun part. So the up down button simply sticks to that self-adhesive front. So once I've got this board back, we will just try it. Right, power on. Well, that seems reliable now, so we'll switch it back off again. And try and get all this in. I've managed not to disturb too much of it. It's very easy to get the wires trapped. And whatever you do, they're always going to brush against the knob there, which is mic gain. Then there's a little stick-on thing. That will never stick back. There's a hole in these for some other option in some other country, so we're going to have to put a bit of adhesive on that now it's come off. So I'll just remove it totally for now. Wallow. Excellent. So that seems to have worked out okay. I'll put it on the aerial, switch the test equipment off. One on a Roger. That's interesting. "13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Well, we better pause the video and see whether we've trapped something. So having taken it apart again, I've checked that when we select the channels which are reading the wrong number, select that. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 13 and 14 are showing 19. They are actually selecting the right channel, so it's the number in the display that's wrong. Well, it's not going to be the display, so chances are it's going to be either the 7191 scan chip, or it's going to be the 7181 in the set that's causing that to happen. So I think it's something to live with, because I think last time I got one of those chips it was like £25 or something like that. It isn't going to affect the performance, and it's just something to be aware of. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So all the channels are in the right place, but the display lies. I've checked for dry joints. The other thing that could play up are the resistor networks, but I don't think it's those, with it reading correctly on the other channels. So I think it's to do with the chip there. So I'll put it back together. Okay, so to conclude the video, I've put the set onto its internal speaker, and we'll do the on-the-air test using that internal speaker, like we would normally do. So it's going to be a bit tinny, but you have heard it with the signal generator, and it does do a normal, I think it's 2 watts audio output. So just got that anomaly with the display. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Well, now, Roger. Let's see how it works around Scratchy Corner. Nobody on a Sunday evening. We are 35 miles really from any main areas of habitation. So there you have it, the audio line. See, I've got that in my mind, because that also has that scan generator chip, the 342 remote. So there we have it, the Binatone Breaker Phone from 1981, and really just needed a service, and it's back to the land of the living. Thanks for watching.